Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to share with you some of the work that PIMHS have been doing and developing across Monmouthshire. So I'm Belinda Lydon. I'm a music therapist and a trainee parent-infant psychotherapist, and I'm mainly based in North Monmouthshire. And my PIMHS colleague Miller is a child psychotherapist, and he covers the south of the borough. And there are also other PIMHS professionals who do pick up cases in Monmouthshire as well. So the PIMHS service in Monmouthshire, as many of you will know, was formed by Julie Wallace and Paddy Martin, which is a huge act to follow and also a privilege to do so. And hopefully we can continue to build on this work and ensure that we are meeting the needs of parents and infants in Monmouthshire, and also help to support and enable the early years teams to continue to carry out the brilliant work that they already do. We are aware that services in Monmouthshire and other parts of Gwent are under increased pressure, and we're all very much feeling the impact of the past couple of years on the families that we work with and in the systems that we work within. So it seems more important than ever to keep communicating and creating some space to think and reflect together. And as a music therapist, I would also add that we need to remember our playful and creative sides as well when we're thinking about our work with families. So just to reiterate something that Paddy said, actually, that in PIMHS, we're very much focusing on the relationship between parents and infants. And for most of our direct work, we are working from antenatal to 2 years old. So here I've outlined some of the things that we as professionals are doing. So watching, listening, responding and wondering, being curious. And these are very much things that we also promote and hope to nurture in the families that we work with. It's about helping parents to develop their reflective function and attune to their infants. And with my music therapist hat on, I'm also keen to promote that parent-infant interactions are musical in nature. So this idea of communicative musicality that is present from before birth. So infants are familiar with their parents' voices from before they're born. So they'll seek to interact using their voices, but also be soothed by the sound of their parents' voice. And we can also think about parent ease. So if we think about the way that we all naturally interact with babies, we tend to talk in a higher pitch. We slow down our speech. It sort of elongate words. So in that way, we're all changing the musical elements of our voice to attune to the baby. And that's something that's inbuilt in everyone. Babies and children love music and respond to it. And I think it's more important than ever in the digital age that we live in, that parents sing with their children so that they have that live experience of music and realize that music, it can be flexible, it's social, it's expressive, it can develop language, it's in response to other people. It's not just something that you press a button and listen to. It's very much about learning to relate. So that's sort of my sort of ethos behind my music therapy work. Before I talk about some of the interventions that we offer in Monmouth, I just wanted to quickly look at some of the reasons a family may be referred to PIMHS. And I think it's important to say that it can be the infant or the parent that sort of brings that family to therapy or flags up to us that something is not quite right in the relationship between them. So infants will be communicating this to us in the way that they know how, which may be through some of the things listed here. So it may be failing to respond to eye contact or smiles. The baby may lack interest in others or turn their head away. There may be a lack of play. There may be difficulties with feeding or sleeping, or excessive crying, difficult to soothe. So there could be any number of reasons that an infant is sort of telling us that there's something not quite right. Or it may be that it's the parent that is noticed and asking for more support. So that could be a parent who's struggling to contain their baby's emotions or to bond with their baby. Professionals may notice that they're quite awkward in their handling of the baby, or make quite negative references such as, the baby only smiles for everyone but except for me. Or they may be having difficulty or failing to respond to their baby's cues, maybe a lack of interaction. So these are all sort of things that professionals maybe noticing in either the parent or infant, but it's flagging up to us that there's something that needs to be addressed in that parent-infant relationship. And these reasons are then some of the aspects that we might then be working on in the approaches that I'm about to describe to you. So firstly, I want to share with you an intervention and an approach that we're currently piloting in a clinic at Acorns, which is Watch Me Play. And some of you may be familiar with Watch, Wait and Wonder, and this is very similar, but this is an approach that's developed by the Tavistock Clinic in London. And it's something that we plan to train more staff in over time, so it can be rolled out more widely across Monmouthshire. And it's very much an intervention that's accessible to all professionals working with parents and infants, and something that can be added to their toolkit. And it's also something we can encourage parents to do themselves as well. So this approach is very much about promoting child-led play and supporting relationships. And the main premise is parents giving their undivided attention to their little one for regular short periods of play. And they're encouraged to talk with the baby or the child about their play, and to also then reflect with another adult, whether that's a family member or a professional, about what they saw and how it felt to be with their child as they played. And as well as being an intervention in itself, we can also use Watch Me Play as an assessment and to think about whether a family then needs further intervention. And I've put this quote at the bottom that comes from the Watch Me Play manual, which says, "Being in tune, relaxed and playful together helps babies to grow up healthy and secure." So yeah, that Watch Me Play is something that we are piloting, and I'm sure you'll hear more about in due course. Families can also be referred for music therapy, and here are some of the things that this can offer. So in music therapy sessions, I will be using music as a therapeutic tool to engage families. It might be about using music to slow down and create that space to think and reflect, and for the parent to really be in the moment with their baby and notice their baby and how they're responding. It's really important to be thinking about listening to their babies, so how they do that, and following their cues and responding. And that's something that I would facilitate between the parent and the infant, using songs and musical structures. And it can also be about the pacing and the timing of interactions. So it's about tuning in, nurturing playfulness, and also offering a chance for emotional expression. And then another part of that work can be in encouraging parents to use music as part of their day with their baby. So I might be sort of giving them some musical tools, whether that's they always sing, the same song when they change their baby's nappy, and it could be a song that they already know, or I could be encouraging them to, let's make up a song together. So for example, at bath time, they may sing something like splishy, splashy, splishy, splosh, splishy, splashy, let's have a wash, just things to sort of really encourage that playfulness. But the baby then knows what's about to happen, and it's a little moment of connection between them. And another obvious one would be encouraging them to use lullabies, for example, as they soothe and rock their baby to sleep. And also linking back to Laura and Orion's presentation, music making uses several areas of the brain simultaneously. So it's strengthening those neural connections and facilitating many aspects of development. And I've just put this slide in that shows how the brain reacts to music. So you can see that there's lots of activity. So when a baby or child or anyone is listening to music or engaging in music, there's lots of activity in the brain. So it's really brilliant for their development. And with music therapy, I guess it may be that a parent is struggling with words or verbalizing how they're feeling. So music therapy can be a really great way in, because it's offering a different approach. And Miller and I both offer parent-infant psychotherapy to families as well, which is another way of working with attachment and unconscious processes or dynamics that may be playing out or impacting the parent-infant relationship in some way. And this may be with families who need a lot of containment or more in-depth work. There may be complex family dynamics, previous trauma, or intergenerational issues that need addressing. But this therapy is very much about facilitating that relationship between the parent and the baby. And like I said before, it could be the parent or the infant that sort of brings that family to therapy so that we can work with whatever's going on. And another important aspect of our work in Monmouthshire and Gwent-wide is our role in supporting the early years workforce and promoting infant mental health. So this is something I've started to implement with reflective practice for the Acorns Family Firsts team and also the Flying Start parenting team, and also supervision for individual staff where that's needed. And I think this also happens more informally, where staff feel they can come and chat about a family and have that space to think and reflect together and keep those families in mind. So consultation is a core aspect of what we offer. And sometimes it makes sense to support the staff who are already working with a family and they already have that relationship with them, rather than introduce someone else into that dynamic as well. It really just, it depends on the family. And we can also think about training needs. So I've offered training to the Flying Start childcare staff and the parenting team on the benefits of singing and playing instruments with young children. And this had a very practical focus of giving the staff the tools and the confidence to use music in their day-to-day work life. And I had a really lovely experience. About 2 months after doing the training, I popped into Wiggles in Monmouth and I heard the staff, they were using singing to engage the children and to help them transition between activities and also to soothe a distressed child. And that was a really core part of the training, was thinking how they can use that music with young children to help them connect with others and for their development, but also, as a way of meeting their emotional needs as well. I know that many staff in Monmouthshire have already accessed the PIMHS infant mental health core training, and that is also still available if there are any new staff who would like to do that. I believe we are offering that in July, it's the next one. And I will also continue to discuss with managers and staff about training needs. So for example, we've started to reflect on the impact of COVID for families that we work with, and themes that have started to emerge, such as setting boundaries and also developmental delay. So it's thinking if there's training needed around what we're now seeing in the families we work with. So as you can see, there are different interventions that we offer to meet the needs of different families at different levels and intensities, but it's always with the relationship of the parent and the infant at the centre. And it's always worth discussing with me, Miller, or someone else in PIMHS about what might be suitable for a family that you're working with and thinking of referring to our service. And then following a consultation and assessment, we will be able to think with the family about what might be the right or what might be best for them. So while the direct work with families is for those with children aged 2 and under, including antenatal, and focus on those early attachment relationships, we also help the wider workforce to think about their work with older children and to offer that consultation space. And I look forward to continuing to build connections and what we can offer in Monmouthshire. Thank you for listening.